You know, in the time it takes you to watch this, the world of AI will have already changed. That's the dizzying pace that has sent global leaders scrambling, launching this whole series of high-stakes summits to try and get a handle on a technology that is just reshaping our world. So we're going to follow the money, the power plays, and the core ideas that are driving this race to define the future of AI. And it all really started with this pretty stark warning. The first ever global AI summit didn't just produce some fluffy press release. Nope. It gave us the Bletchley Declaration, and it used language you almost never see in diplomacy, the potential for serious, even catastrophic harm. That one phrase, that's what created the urgency that has defined this entire global conversation ever since. So yeah, our story begins with this massive wake-up call. And it's pretty fitting that it was held at a place where the codes of the past were broken and the whole age of computing was really born. That's right, Bletchley Park. In November 2023, it hosted the very first global AI summit, and it had a really clear mission: to tackle the risks of frontier AI. Now, what's that? Well, think of it as the absolute bleeding edge, the most powerful models that are so new, even their creators don't fully understand what they can do. The whole goal was to get ahead of the risks before it was too late. And what happened next was just a whirlwind. I mean, look at this timeline. You go from the UK to Seoul, then to Paris, with Delhi already on the horizon. This isn't the slow, plodding pace of normal diplomacy. This is the world playing catch-up, just trying to keep pace with a technology that's moving exponentially faster. But then, just over a year later in Paris, the tone completely changed. The quiet, almost academic concern about safety, it got completely drowned out by a much louder, more energetic sound. The sound of a gold rush. The contrast is it's stark. Bletchley Park was described as decidedly sober, a pretty small gathering of 29 governments, all focused on catastrophic risk. Paris, on the other hand, was an AI festival. It was a massive party with over 100 countries and thousands of participants, where the main conversation wasn't about danger, but about economic opportunity. Google CEO Sundar Pichai captured the new mood just perfectly. The biggest risk is missing out. And right there, suddenly, the primary fear wasn't an existential threat. It was being left behind. The fear of missing out, yep, FOMO, had officially become a driving force in global AI policy. And of course, when the conversation shifts, the money just floods in. Suddenly, Paris became this big stage for massive financial commitments. First, the EU dropped a bombshell, the Invest AI initiative, a €200 billion plan for AI infrastructure. But that was just the start. Then, a whole coalition of European companies added another €150 billion to the pot, all aimed at supercharging AI businesses across the continent. And finally, private investors poured nearly €110 billion into the French AI sector alone. The numbers are just staggering. The AI gold rush was officially on. But, you know, when you have a gold rush, you also get intense, cutthroat competition. All that money didn't unite the world, it actually revealed these deep geopolitical cracks, turning what was supposed to be cooperation into an arms race. And I'm not just saying that. The Financial Times editorial board, they didn't mince words. They called the Paris summit what it was, the new AI arms race. The focus had officially pivoted from shared safety to a high-stakes competition for dominance, especially between the US and China. And the signs of this new tension were just impossible to ignore. You had the US Vice President issue a clear warning against cooperating with authoritarian regimes, a direct shot at China. Then, both the US and the UK refused to sign a key Paris declaration, signaling a real split among allies. Meanwhile, the safety experts who started this whole thing felt the original mission was lost, calling it a missed opportunity. And in the clearest sign of all, two major European startups announced a partnership to build AI for the battlefield. The arms race was becoming very, very literal. But while the US and Europe were competing for dominance, a new, really powerful voice entered the conversation. And it shifted the entire center of gravity for this debate toward the global south. The next summit in Delhi, it isn't just another meeting. It's set to be the largest AI gathering in history. And it has an agenda that's designed to completely reshape the global dialogue, all over again. Now, the crucial point here is that India has a completely different agenda. It's championing something called sovereign AI, the idea that nations should build their own AI systems, trained on their own data, reflecting their own cultures and needs. For them, the focus isn't on a geopolitical race, it's on equitable development, on using AI for practical things like healthcare and education, and making sure this powerful technology benefits everyone, not just a few tech giants. So we've got three very different approaches here: safety, profit, and now equity. With all these meetings, all these declarations, and billions of dollars flying around, you just have to ask, is any of it actually working? And that is the exact question that policy experts at think tanks like Chatham House are debating right now. They're looking past all the photo ops and grand statements and asking, what is the tangible impact of these global summits? The case for these summits is pretty clear. They force everyone into the same room: governments, corporations, academics, to start a crucial dialogue. But the case against them is just as strong. They're becoming these chaotic festivals where national interests and corporate profits just drown out any real cooperation. And since the efforts are non-binding, they risk becoming all talk and no action. And that's why many experts believe real progress probably won't happen on these massive, politicized stages. Instead, the real work of AI governance might have to be done quietly, in smaller, focused groups of experts who can actually hash out the technical standards and rules, away from the geopolitical spotlight. So this leaves us with the most critical question of all. The technology is advancing at a blistering pace, doubling in power every few months. The real question is, can our diplomacy, our summits, our debates, our politics possibly keep up? Because the answer to that question, well, it's going to define the 21st century.